You don't need them. Why are you trying to help them? Why are you asking them for help? Why are you forgiving them? They did that to you. They treated you wrong. You better get revenge. What are you crying about? Well, don't be crying about no Jesus. Why are you opening up? Something's wrong with you. You got an issue. Don't you hear that all the time? Don't you hear that all the time, right? The world thinks we are weak because of the things that we do. Because of the things that we do when we follow Jesus. That's the whole point of this. To follow Jesus is to be weak. And I know y'all probably was reading that title like, what are you talking about? What do you mean it's weak? Look, man, I'm gonna help y'all understand this, man. Look, when it comes to Jesus, you have to be weak. And I know y'all probably see weak as a bad word, but it's not a bad word. I want y'all to see this, right? Because God is good all the time. Everything with God is good. Everything he does and everything he says is good. So God even says, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Did he not say that to Paul? He said, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Why is that? Why is that? That means your weakness allows him to be strong. When you give up yourself, when we give up ourselves, then we allow God to lead. So it's so crazy, right? Because I learned this same thing when I got closer to God. Because I'm always trying to be strong. And people was always trying to be strong. And especially as a man, we taught, don't cry, don't do this, don't do that, don't express yourself. But guess what? If you're weak in that way, meaning if you become vulnerable, right? If you allow yourself to let things go, if you don't want revenge, if you want to give to somebody else, if you want to forgive, if you want to be vulnerable, if you want to express yourself, you're actually being strong in the spirit. See, in the world and in our minds, we think that's weak, right? We think it's weak to need somebody. We think it's weak to ask for help, right? But actually, that's really pride. Pride allows you to do nothing for someone else. Pride keeps you from doing things for others. But what does God say? God says, give to them. God says, love them. God says, forgive them. God says, help them. And it also might feel bad. I don't know what you're talking about, because that's what I done been through that, right? Where somebody consistently talking down on me. Somebody is treating me totally bad, treating me crazy bad, talking crazy to me, laughing at me, looking down on me, judging me, right? And treating me extremely bad, passive aggressive, abusing me verbally, emotionally, mentally, and I can't do nothing. Right? Because if I was to respond or do something, more than likely I'm going to jail, right? And in the past, I probably would have did it. I done had the cops called on me a couple times in the past, right? In the situations that I done been in where it turned really bad, right? But when I got closer to God, God said, don't do that. When they treat you wrong, I need you to love them. When they treat you wrong, I need you to forgive them. When they need your help, I need you to give to them. Matter of fact, it's some people over there that's a little bit stronger than you. And, you know, we don't like to think people stronger than us, so we don't like to think people know more than us. We like to think we don't need them. I could do it, right? Didn't your mama tell you that? Didn't your parents tell you that? Didn't your teacher tell you that? Didn't your boss tell you that? But it's so funny how God told me you do need them, right? It's so funny how we grow up from being a kid where somebody's trying to teach us how to ride a bike, where we need them, right? Where we can be vulnerable, where we can be weak, right? Fall off the bike, don't know what to do, but somebody tells us to get up. Somebody tells us to do something that we didn't know to do when we hurt ourselves. But we so strong that we can't learn from nobody, that we can't mess up and need someone else that knows more or that knows how to do something better or who is stronger than me. You know what I learned? I learned that people are stronger than me. It's people that know more than me. It's people that are stronger than me. It's people that have been here longer than me. Why don't I ask? Why don't I ask? Why don't I ask for help? Or why don't I observe these people, right? And see, how are they successful? How are they strong in this area? How did they get through this thing that I'm struggling with, that I'm having anxiety with, that I'm so fearful of? Why don't I ask them, or why don't I pay attention to them? But guess what? We don't want to be weak. We want to feel like we could do anything. But you know what? If we went and asked for help, we could be stronger. If I went and actually helped them, I could be stronger, because to be honest, I'm weaker when I don't do these things. Just like submission. That's a big one for the world, right? I ain't submitting to nobody. I ain't submitting to nobody, right? Especially women. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm going to keep it a stack, though. Y'all know me. This is faith talk and real talk all day, man. God talk and real talk. At the end of the day, for the ladies, they don't want to submit like that, right? We don't want to submit either, the men, because we think it's such a weakness, right? I don't want to be submissive. I'm not going to submit. But let me tell you something. Do you know how much power is in submitting? This is why you have to submit to God. And if you knew who God was, you would know he actually submits to you too. You would know that Jesus submitted to us. How did he die? Yes, he submitted to God, but he submitted to us also, because whatever you do to God, you do it for someone else. That's the whole thing. When I do something for God, now I can do it for you, right? So there's so much power in submitting, and people think that you are weak. I am weak. I'm letting people run all over me. No, no, no. When you can give yourself, right, for the betterment of something, to help something flourish, to water something, to strengthen something, when I can step back and allow you, I'm being strong. You want to know why? Because most people are not going to do that. When most people don't do something, but I can do it, they're afraid and they don't want to. That means that they are weaker. I am stronger. They are afraid, but I took the initiative. I took the step. I walked in fear. To submit actually makes you stronger. That makes you a leader, if people understood that. I'm going to make a video on this submission thing too. This is why God tells us to submit. This is why it blesses relationships and marriages so much, because to submit isn't just towards a marriage. Submission is a life thing. It's a lifestyle. It's so powerful that it could change your life and it could change others, right? This is why it's weak to the world, but it's vulnerability to God. You are strong when you can become weak in your flesh, because when you become weak in your flesh, you allow God's spirit to be stronger. Another way that the world sees as weak is when you can look at yourself and you can say something is wrong, right? When I can say, yo, I am doing this thing, or this is selfish, or I am clingy, or I am hurtful, or I do hurt people, or something is going on with me. The world sees that as weak and they fight it, right? See, that's another thing that the world looks at as weak when we are following God, because God allows us to look at ourselves. God shows me my filthy self. And I know y'all saying filthy, not the thing filthy. No, no, no. He's showing me my sinful self. He's showing me where I don't know something, right? I always tell people, like, yo, it's not that something's wrong with you. It's because you didn't know something. This is what he's showing me. He's showing me that I'm actually made in his image, but I'm following the world. And the world is doing these bad things to me. So he wants me to see the dirtiness of the world on me, right? So that he can show me that I'm actually not of the world, so that he can get it up out of me. Not to make me feel bad, but to actually help me feel better. He's coming to heal me, because those things are coming to kill me. They're coming to hurt me, make me feel down, make me feel stressed and depressed and fearful and hurt and mad and angry, right? That's what those things do, right? And the world says something's wrong with you, right? Right? The world says something's wrong with you, but God says, I didn't say that. God says, I'm trying to show you how much I love you. I'm trying to be here for you, right? So when we start to turn around and change and do all of these things, right? We become weak in our flesh. We become vulnerable. We actually are lowering ourselves now. And I know y'all might see that as bad too, but I want y'all to understand. To lower yourself is to be vulnerable. To lower yourself is to become humble, right? To walk in humility, because now you are able to put yourself to the side for someone else, right? Because in order to walk with Jesus, you have to follow him because he's leading, right? You have to follow Jesus because he's leading, which means he's in front of you, showing you what to do, giving you the love and everything, and protecting you while he's in front of you. So you have to follow him in this moment, right? So now you're a leader in the eyes of the world when you're doing things that's hard for them to do. When you can see yourself, when you can look at your weaknesses, right? Your weaknesses, there are weaknesses, because when I can see my weakness, when I can see, yo, God, You know, I'm having a hard time doing this. Instead of fighting and saying, nothing's wrong with me, nothing's going on, I'm strong in this area. And then later on, I'm depressed because I'm having a hard time. But all I gotta do is ask. All I gotta do is follow Jesus. The world sees all of these things as weak. And guess what? In order to do them, we also feel weak. Because we're made in the world, we feel weak, right? And it hurts. It really hurts because we gotta go through a lot. This is why Jesus went through a lot on Friday before he was persecuted. He had to feel weak in this moment. The world was persecuting him. They was looking down on him. They was talking down. They was treating him bad. They was beating him up because he was following God. He was walking in his purpose. And that's what's going to happen to us. The same thing, that Friday feeling of Jesus is going to happen. This is also why God left that thorn in Paul. This is why he said, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. And he left the thorn there. He left it there, right? He allows these things to happen because he needs us to need him, right? He needs us to need him. But if I don't need him and I'm allowing this thorn to stay there, then guess what? All of that pain and all of that frustration is going to come out in a bad way to other people and to myself. It's going to kill me on the inside and it's going to destroy everything around me because now I'm trying to fill myself up with everything, even if I got to use people to feel better because of this thorn. But if I just look at it, if I'm like, yo, God, I need help right here. Yo, God, I need you to help me with this. That's what the thorn is there for. So we have to be weak. So don't get mad at me about the title, y'all. Yes, following Jesus is weak. And this is not me playing around. This is me being real. Because when I got into my relationship with God, if y'all don't understand, I had to go through a lot. I had a lot of crying nights, man. Really crying, boo-hooing. And while this was happening, while I was getting closer to God, I was really getting hurt. Somebody was really treating me extremely wrong during this time. But God kept saying, I need you to do what I said do. I need you to love this person. I need you to hug them. I need you to try to understand them. I need you to see where these things came from. I need you to forgive them, right? And he was walking me through the process of forgiving. He was trying to open my eyes and change my life while I was being persecuted, while I was being hurt, while walking and following his son, Jesus. So yes, to follow Jesus, you have to be weak. You have to be weak to your flesh so that you can follow him and allow his spirit to be strong for you. Allow his spirit to work through you. Allow him to be seen through you. So I hope y'all ain't too mad at me, man. But I love y'all. Hope this video bless somebody. I hope you can understand it a little bit better now in your life. And I hope you give it to someone else. I love y'all. Let me get it, y'all, when I get it, y'all.